is Jodie. I run the Witty and Sarcastic Bookclub, and today I'm going to read you a little bit about my blog post on The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. The word exquisite does not begin to describe the beauty of this book. This book is the sweet melancholy of virgin snow, soon to be stepped in. It is the delight of a surprise package, the excitement of a first kiss, the mysterious possibility of change. It is perfection on pages. Zachary Ezra Rollins is an excellent protagonist, sweet and a little unsure of himself. The story begins with a book found in a library, one that contains a tale about Zachary's childhood. It's a memory of something that really happened, something that no one has been told about. Zachary's need to know more about the origin of the book leads him into labyrinthine tunnels and the even more difficult to navigate maze of self-discovery. The non-linear way that the story unfolds is perfect. I love how Erin Morgenstern invokes not just sight and sound, but smell and taste with her writing. This book made me sad in that beautiful way that is so close to happiness that I don't know whether to laugh or cry. Maybe I'll do both. The Night Circus, which is Erin Morgenstern's first book, is on my top 5 favorite books of all time list. I have officially made it my top 6 favorites because this has found a place in my heart. Read this book. I started blogging at the end of 2018. Up to that point, I'd really just been talking about books to anyone who was interested, and even some people who weren't. My husband suggested that I start a blog as a way to kind of share my love of reading. And I had a very short stint on Blogspot before I switched it over to Witty and Sarcastic Bookclub.home.blog on WordPress. Yeah, like I said, I just kind of just started at the end of 2018, just some few short reviews here and there, and I found out I love writing, and I love talking about books, and I just get so excited when I read something. I just want to tell everyone about it, and so when I was able to move it over to WordPress, that worked a lot better, just as far as my ability to kind of make it my own. And the posts on my blogs are really just a combination of reviews, interviews, and, some opinion pieces. I read most genres, although fantasy has always been my go-to. I particularly enjoy writing opinion pieces on fantasy, from things about subgenre to outstanding authors, and I love reviewing books by indie and self-published authors. I hopefully, want to give the spotlight to amazing books that you're not necessarily going to find at your local Barnes & Noble or at your Walmart. There's just so many out there that need that spotlight and deserve it. Well, I think for a good blog, honestly, first and foremost, I would say passion. When someone's just really excited about something, that shines through. And that makes, that love of reading and a blogger's unique writing personality draw me to a particular blog. If a writer is excited about their subject matter, the reader will become more invested because they'll see that excitement shining through. As far as what makes a good blogging site, I would say things like proper grammar, very important. Read through your post after you've written it, make sure you don't have any, spelling errors or rambling sentences. And just having a blog that is user-friendly is also important. You need your reader to be able to navigate it and to find your information, your review requests, your policies. And just the reader wants to be able to also, be able to see your posts and read them well. If you have a background that's maybe necessarily very dark, with dark writing, it's difficult to read. So you want to take that kind of thing into consideration. This is going to sound really funny, but just don't talk yourself out of it. You can make all kinds of preparations. You can write lists of ideas. You can brainstorm what your blogging, personality and voice is going to be. You can even write a few preparation reviews, and all that's great. But if you never get past the planning phase, it will go to waste. You just need to get started. And also, it's important to avoid the numbers game. You don't need to compare your follower count or views with anyone else. Everyone's going to be at a different spot, and your blog will grow over time. And also, and this is going to sound odd, but chat with other book bloggers. There have been so many things that I've learned, and I'm still learning from other experienced and successful book bloggers that have been doing it longer than I have. And the book blogging community in general is just kind and welcoming, and most bloggers are just more than happy to answer any questions that I have had. I would say just play to your strengths. I mean, don't try to be a copy of someone else that you read that you thought was great. The best blogs, honestly, are just creative and unique, and we'll focus more on what someone is good at. If you have, for example, if a blogger, if you have a good sense of humor, use that, lean into it. If your writing is very detailed, then you can write a very detailed review about bits and pieces of a book and what makes it stand out. Use that. Let your personality shine through. Another thing to keep in mind is length. I noticed if a post is too long, readers tend to lose interest and they might not finish it. I personally, when I feel very strongly about a book, I tend to ramble. So I have to remind myself to kind of stick to around 800 words or so, because after that, the reader's going to say, well, I've got other things to do right now, so, goodbye. Oh, I love this question. This was actually really hard for me to answer because there are so many phenomenal blogs. There are actually three that came to mind right away, if you don't mind me mentioning three. The first is beforewegoblog.com. I really love this blog because it focuses a lot on the indie book scene. Again, books that, just are so amazing and more people need to know about. And right now, actually, there's an ongoing series on Before We Go blog that's focusing on books from the self-published fantasy blog off, which is a contest run by the author Mark Lawrence. And the writing on Before We Go blog is just always top notch. And the blog itself is aesthetically gorgeous, easy to read, easy to view, just beautiful. Another one I really love is irresponsiblereader.com. And this is just a great example of what I was saying earlier about just writing to your strengths. The posts are very detailed, incredibly well written, and there's just a lot of creativity used on this site. One of the more recent posts actually discusses books about dogs that won't just make you cry at the end because there's death and doom and destruction. It's just such a brilliant post. Just talking about books about dogs that are happy books, which I loved. And then I guess finally, I have to mention spellsandspaceships.com. It's just brilliant. This blog, it's not only is it fabulous with its science fiction and fantasy reviews, it focuses a lot on involving the book blogging community as a whole. For example, in November, there was this whole month-long set called Norsevember, and it just focused on Norse books and Norse customs, and it was fantastic. And it added so many books to my to-be-read list, and just featured so many different authors of Norse-related fantasy. There were interviews. There was actually even a fantastic interview with a professor of archaeology who just was incredibly knowledgeable on the subject of just Norse customs and the way they lived, and it was just fascinating. Just a fantastic blog. Oh God, I love Raceland. He's actually probably the first really morally gray character that just drew me into these characters that are just so morally complex and complicated. And I just love how you can see this battle within himself, where he's not good, he's not bad, he's just him, and he's unapologetic about that. And I really love that. And I really love Lorana. Because she grows so much. She starts out in the first book, Dragons of Autumn Twilight, very, very immature. She runs away to chase after Tanis because of a crush. And then by the end of the series, she's strong and she's independent, and she makes hard choices and she thinks about other people first. And it's fascinating and fantastic to watch just this massive character growth. It's just incredible. Oh God. Wow, that's a tough one. Well, I would want to say Fireball, because my husband, when he plays Dungeons and Dragons, there was one time where he played a wizard that cast Fireball, but he had broken fingers, so it always just went everywhere. But for me, I think some sort of like illusion type spell, or maybe something that kind of bent the light or refracted it in some way. I just think that would be super cool. Oh yes. Well, first of all, I have to thank my husband. he's the one that pushed me into writing this blog in the first place, and it's just so encouraging. And he always reads my posts afterwards, so he can say, well, I understand what you're trying to say here, but what you're saying makes no sense, which is just fantastic, because then I can go through and read it and say, yeah, if you don't know me, this is not going to make any sense at all. And it's just so encouraging, and I just love that. And again, I have to thank you so very much for, for doing this. It's so nice of you. And also, I'm just incredibly humbled and grateful that you thought of me when you were deciding to do this. It means a lot, and I'm very grateful.